Welcome back to Cinema Showcase. I'm your host Derek, and today we're going to be going over my top 10 favorite movies of 2023 so far. Kicking off our list at number 10, we have Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Now, Ant-Man 3, it's fine. It's nothing special. It's a lackluster MCU movie, which is kind of the trajectory that they've been on with these past couple films. Hoping they can right the ship with the Marvels, but don't have a lot of hope for it. The movie's just fine. That's the best word I can use to describe it. It's just all around fine. The acting's fine. The VFX fine, despite MODOK being an abomination. Kang absolutely saves this movie from being just god-awful. Coming in next on my list is Asteroid City. Now, this is only my second ever Wes Anderson movie. My first was actually Grand Budapest Hotel, which I also watched this year, but that doesn't count because it's only 2023 new releases. So, as far as this movie goes, it's about as classic as a Wes Anderson movie gets. It's visually absolutely stunning. The ensemble cast all give great performances. I don't think it really comes anywhere close to Grand Budapest Hotel, but I think very highly of Grand Budapest. So it was a good movie, a solid follow up, at least for me, for my second Wes Anderson movie. But it much like Quantumania, nothing special. But this one, there's a decent sized gap between Quantumania and Asteroid City. Coming in next, we have Air, the Ben Affleck directed Michael Jordan kind of biopic. Now, I didn't have a lot of expectations going into this movie, but it blew me out of the water. Like, it was really good. I thought the decision that they made, the story is much more about the actual shoes rather than Michael himself. Matt Damon, incredible performance. Viola Davis, incredible performance. Expecting her to get at least an Oscar nomination, but we'll get to all that. We'll get to Oscar nominations a bit later in the video when we talk about number 1 and 2. But yeah, it's just a really good movie. Now this is the point of the video where things might get a little controversial, because at number 7 I have Barbie. Now, Barbie, I know everyone absolutely adores this movie, and I thought it was great. I think it's incredibly well made. Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling, phenomenal performances from both of them. The soundtrack is really good, but when it just comes down to it, I just didn't connect with the story as much as other people did. I thought it was great, but I thought the message, I thought the message was great. But I feel like Greta Gerwig kind of just, at some point in the film, it just got to a point where she was beating a dead horse. The movie just constantly shoves the messages and themes in your face over and over again. And by the third act, it's just like, whatever. But even though, like I said, I didn't enjoy it as much as everyone else, I thought it was incredibly fun and an incredibly made film. Coming in number 6 is, coincidentally, Scream 6. Now, I've seen all 6 Scream films. I think the first one might actually be my favorite horror movie of all time. And if you couldn't already tell from my background, I am a big horror movie fan. But yes, I've seen all 6 Scream films, and I thought this was the second best one, only behind the original. Because the original is never going to get beat, but this one, it was really good. Both this one and 5 that came out in 2021, both very good movies. Very good movies, very good horror movies. This one, I thought the family elements that they added were really good without trying to give away too many spoilers. I thought the family elements were really good. Really good performances. I know the internet loves to just rave all over Jenna Ortega, but she legitimately is a very good actress. She gives a great performance. It's nice to have Kirby back in the franchise after Scream 4. Scream 4 is another really good entry in this franchise. Probably very slept on. I thought she did great. The way that they used the legacy characters was really good. Still, at first I was worried because I didn't know how well it would turn out without Neve Campbell, but they did a very good job of making a solid Scream movie without her, which is something I didn't think they would be able to do. Now, earlier for Quantumania, I said that the MCU has kind of been on a little bit of a downward trend where the movies just aren't that great anymore. But this movie is the one exception, because at number 5, we have Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. This was about as perfect of a conclusion to that trilogy that you could get. James Gunn made a masterful film. It is hilarious. More just great performances. Another phenomenal villain, which the one thing, despite the fact that Marvel movies have not been so good as of late, they've always continued to make very, very good villains. Very compelling villains. But yes, this movie, if you combine all 3 of the soundtracks of the 3 Guardians movies, you probably get the greatest film soundtrack of all. Like, the 3 Guardians movies, they make up probably the greatest movie soundtrack of all time. Like, it is definitely up there. But it's a really good movie, and it was a big win for Marvel, especially with the way that things were going. Now, coming in 4th place is, again, coincidentally, John Wick Chapter 4. Like with Scream, I have seen all of the John Wick movies, and I thought this was the best one by far. It was perfect. The action was just absolutely phenomenal. There's this one sequence, without giving too much away, there's this one 3-minute long take, and it's just one of the greatest pieces of filmmaking I've ever seen. Then you get to the final battle. There's a sequence with a staircase that is just absolutely incredible. This is probably one of the best action movies that I've ever seen. The villain, Bill Skarsgård, is extremely compelling. Keanu Reeves, probably one of my favorite actors of all time, delivers a great performance. I really can't say much else without spoiling it, but it's a really good movie. It's really good. Now, before we get into the top 3, I want to hear your thoughts. So go down in the comments, give me your favorite movies of the year, top 3, top 5, whatever you want to do. Just give me your favorite movies of the year so far. While you're down there, make sure you like the video, subscribe, notifications on, you know the drill. So anyway, let's move on to my top 3 favorite movies of the year so far. Now, coming in 3rd place for me is probably the general public's number 1. My number 3 favorite movie of the year so far is Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. This was about as good of a sequel to Spider-Verse as you can get. I still think it falls just short, but it is almost a perfect movie in every aspect. It is beautiful. This movie takes animation to places I couldn't even fathom. The voice acting, it's great. And legitimately the only thing keeping this from a 5-star movie for me is the fact that I just don't feel right giving 5 stars to a movie that is incomplete. Now, however, once we get to Beyond legitimately might be the greatest animated movie of all time. Like, the amount of hype going into that movie is going to be insane. Now, for the runner-up, I have the newest movie I've seen on this list, which is Killers of the Flower Moon. This was my first Scorsese movie in theaters, and it's a Scorsese movie, man. It's so damn good. The cast is absolutely phenomenal. I said earlier we're going to end Oscar talks. I think Lily Gladstone is a lock for best leading actress, or it might be supporting actress, I don't know. But she is a lock to win an Oscar. Like, her performance, beautiful. I think both De Niro and DiCaprio are going to Oscar nominations. I don't think they'll win because once we get into number 1, I think number 1 is taking home pretty much every Oscar this year. But DiCaprio, it's such a different role for him. It's something you've never seen from him before. De Niro, he just plays this villainous, it's like this villainous, horrible character, but he plays it with so much passion and energy that you're so intrigued by him. Literally the only complaint I have about this movie is the fact that it's too long. That first, like, 90 minutes, you can condense that down into, like, hour, maybe 45 minutes or something. But then once you get into the second half of the movie and things get going on, that final 2 hours is extremely good. Like, it is, like, 7 out of 5, 8 out of 5. It's phenomenal. But that's my only complaint. That's, like, the only thing keeping this from number 1, realistically. That first half, it just drags on too long. Coming in at number 1, which should not be a shock to anyone who actually knows me, is Christopher Nolan's Oppenheimer. Oppenheimer is just a wonderful movie. Now, part of me might be a little biased because Nolan is my favorite director of all time. I've seen all 12 of his movies. I adore his filmography. I legitimately do not think he's made a bad film. Even his more or less interesting ones are still very well made movies. I'll be doing a Christopher Nolan ranking sometime soon, so whenever that comes out, make sure you check it out. But back on to Oppenheimer, it's just perfect. Like, Murphy and Downey are both not only going to get Oscar nominations, but Oscar wins, I truly believe that. Ludwig Göransson, his score, it's masterful. The cinematography, especially for the Trinity test scene, is just beautiful. As Nolan is my favorite director, so it does pain me that he does not have a single Best Picture winner, especially considering that some of his movies are what I consider to be some of the greatest of all time. But I legitimately believe this is going to be the film that finally gets Christopher Nolan his well overdue Best Director or Best Picture win. I strongly believe that this is finally the movie that gets him that win. So that'll do it for my top 10 favorite movies of the year so far. Like I said earlier, make sure you go down in the comments, give me your favorites of the year so far. Remember to always like, subscribe, turn notifications on so you don't miss a single upload. I'm going to do my best to do weekly uploads on this channel. I've been Derek. This is Cinema Showcase. Thanks for watching.